Hello, and welcome to episode 64 of the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. I'm Christine.
And I'm Sam.
Hey, it's almost Christmas time.
Yeah, it is. 20 days away, to be exact.
Yeah, we've been up to some Christmas shenanigans.
There have been some shenanigans. This is true.
We, when was that? Saturday, we got our Christmas tree, went to the tree farm.
Yes, that was Saturday. And I have to say, that's one of my favorite days of the Christmas season.
Yes, it was a muddy slog through the fields.
It really was.
This year.
Yes, it was rainy and muddy. But we found a wonderful tree, and just the whole process of the tree for me is, like I said, it's one of my favorite days.
Yeah, if you're
of the Christmas season.
If you're in the area, we go to Weather Hill Farms.
Yes.
They're really nice people.
They are. They're wonderful.
Yeah, and when we pulled in, the guy said, "Oh, there are some crazy people out today."
Yes,
because it
was
rainy, and
windy,
cold.
and rainy and cold, and yeah. But it was awesome, and we found a beautiful tree. And honestly, I think this year's process of putting up the tree was probably the smoothest we've ever had.
I know. I don't want to jinx it, but it really was.
The
only hiccup,
kind of amazing.
We had a little trouble getting it out of the car. It got kind of stuck.
Right. That's the only time where there was any real swearing on Christine's part.
A little bit of swear.
Yeah. There's usually a fair amount of swearing that happens with
on
the putting
day?
Up on tree day. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think it was only getting the tree out of the car.
Yeah. And we got it in the house just fine. And
easy.
Into the tree stand just fine.
Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was like we had an easy button or something.
So now we are sitting with the 4K YouTube fire going and the Christmas tree lights, and it's looking very festive in the house.
Yeah, it's super cozy. Yeah, makes me just want to go into hibernation mode.
It does. Just turn out the lights and just have the twinkle lights going. And
it's great.
It is one of our favorite times of the year.
It really is.
And then yesterday, we do a thing with my family. I don't know if you have one of these, but we have a Nintendo Switch.
We do.
And we play a Nintendo Switch Mario Kart tournament with my family. You don't have to be in the same room. It's like online.
Right. So most Sunday nights, we have a Mario Kart tournament.
Mario Kart tournament.
Yeah.
And usually my nephew or his friend Nick win.
Yes, that's pretty much a given.
Because they are the superior Mario Karters.
They really are. I mean, but they're also the ones that grew up with a video game controller in their hands.
Right.
So, yeah.
They are definitely that generation. My nephew was playing. My nephew finished the original Nintendo Mario game all the way through when he was, I think, 3.
Yeah, I don't think I would ever be able to manage that.
Yeah, he actually taught me how to play it.
Of course he did.
When he was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Which is just insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we've been up to.
So that was super fun. And we were actually talking about the fact that Nintendo will be releasing a new series of tracks for Mario Kart later this week. I think it's Wednesday.
Ooh, is it this Wednesday?
I think so.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's this Wednesday. And apparently there's a Christmas-themed track.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, that should be fun.
Yeah.
I don't know if we have any other Mario Kart. I said Mario Karts.
You did.
Mario Karters out there, but I love Mario Kart. It's one of my favorite games.
It's the racing game, really.
Yeah, I'm all about it.
I know you are.
Yeah, so that's what we've been up to. Moving on, I did make a recipe this week.
Yeah, you did.
So let's just...
In fact, you just made it today.
I did.
Yeah.
Let's just jump into our Vegan Cookbook Challenge recipe of the week. This week, I made a recipe from the book Ageless Vegan by Tracye McQuirter. And with, I'm thinking it's her sister, Mary McQuirter. And this is, this book, Tracye, I'm pretty sure you pronounce her name Tracye. It's Tracye. So it could also be Trace.
No, I believe it's Tracye.
It's Tracye?
Yes.
She has been vegan for over 35 years.
It's awesome.
So she's got a lot of experience. This book, let's see, it's subtitled The Secret to Living a Long and Healthy Plant-Based Life, with 100 delicious recipes.
Yes.
And the recipe I made out of this book is the Crispy Tofu Bites.
I mean, just from the title, Can you go wrong there? Crispy
Yeah.
Tofu Bites.
I've
Not
made
so
a couple
much.
of different recipes for Crispy Tofu Bites. And I was going to put them on a soba bowl, but we did not have soba noodles.
Uh-oh.
We did, however, have ramen noodles.
Rock on ramen.
So this week's recipe is kind of a twofer because I made the miso ramen from the Eamon Bec and Fraser Cooks ebook. I made their miso ramen and
combined it with the
combined
tofu
it with
bites.
this. You put this crispy tofu on top. So I made their miso ramen with broccoli
Ooh.
and then added this tofu on top.
I had no idea this was a 2-recipe meal.
It's a twofer. It's a twofer.
Well, let me tell you, this was a very effective recipe combination.
It was pretty good.
Oh, it was super good. I think sometimes you don't fully appreciate your cooking
Because I cooked it.
because you cooked it, but
Yeah.
also because, like you said, you were cooking a soup, so you got kind of overheated
I
and
was
you got
warm.
cranky.
The oven
and-
was on for the tofu, at 400 degrees, and boiling water for the ramen, and the broth is in another pot, boiling, and it gets really warm in the kitchen. So
Yeah.
I got kind of hot and cranky.
You did. You got cranky.
Yeah, by the time there was a big bowl of ramen, I'm like, the last thing I want right now is a big hot bowl of soup.
Yeah, for once, you're the one wanting a big salad.
Yeah, but I did eat it. After some grumpiness, I did eat it, and it was delicious.
It was fantastic. Like, seriously fantastic. Just the broth was amazing. The tempeh and the tofu that were in there. The noodles were beautiful. The broccoli was cooked to perfection. Like, I was in heaven.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
A good bowl of ramen is it's way up there for me on things that I love to eat. So yeah, this was perfect.
Yeah, so this tofu recipe, I like this tofu recipe. It's pretty simple, and I'll probably use it again. It's the only crispy tofu recipe I've made that calls for nutritional yeast.
Oh, okay.
So that's the kind of crunchy factor on the outside.
Yeah.
Usually it's a cornstarch or something like that to
Right.
help it crisp up in the oven. And this one uses nooch. If you want to check Tracye out, she's on Instagram at Buy Any Greens. That's BY Greens. And she's the founder of 10 Million Black Vegan Women. It's a nonprofit group helping 1 million Black women go vegan over 10 years.
But really, it's 1 million vegan women per year for 10 years.
Yeah, that's what I said, over 10 years.
Right.
Yeah, 1 million a year over 10 years.
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you for clarifying that. And if you want to follow her org on Instagram, they're at 10 million BVW. Yeah, check it out. This is a pretty cool book. I'm interested in trying a few more recipes in here. A lot of nice pictures in it. What other recipes are in here? It's a lot of teas and stuff, which is fun.
Always a good
There's
time.
a great breakfast section. Soups and sides. Ooh, Southern style cornbread. I like
Nice.
a good cornbread.
Nice.
Curried lentil soup.
Ooh.
That sounds good. Saffron rice. Of course, there's a mac and cheese. No vegan cookbook.
It's complete without a mac and cheese.
Yep.
Yeah.
All
pretty
hail
true.
the kale. There's a whole kale section. Beet greens. A whole section on how to use different greens, which is nice.
Awesome.
Roasted curried cauliflower, which is similar to what we made in last week's recipe.
Can never go wrong with a curried cauliflower.
Yep. Tempeh panini. Purple cabbage bowl. Yeah, so this is a pretty cool book, and I'll link to it in the show notes if you want to pick yourself up a copy of it. That's
Sounds good.
Ageless Vegan by Tracye McQuirter with her, I believe, her sister, Mary McQuirter.
Nice.
Yeah. So there you go. Our main topic this week, speaking of Christmas, everything's Christmas this and Christmas that. And I just wanted to have us explore some of the other holidays that are celebrated this time of year, some of the other winter holidays. So our main topic this week is winter holidays around the world.
Yeah. And the first thing to really acknowledge is that although Christmas is largely thought of as a Christian holiday now, it did not start that way.
No.
by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it didn't.
No. It started largely among Northern European pagan tribes, and that's going everywhere from what is now Germany through what is now Finland and Denmark and Sweden and Norway, and through the Netherlands, and through what is now the United Kingdom, and of course Ireland. And so it, in many different forms, it was found in these Northern European pagan cultures. And so that's really where almost all of the iconography that goes along with Christmas these days comes from.
Yeah. The church, the big church, and mostly
the capital C church.
Yeah, mostly the Catholic Church adopted all those pagan rituals to win over all the pagans.
Yeah, essentially they took the structure of a lot of the pagan faiths and attached Christian concepts to them to make this new Christian religion more palatable.
Yeah, basically to usurp their holiday.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah,
I mean, it's kind of
definitely
an appropriation.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. And that's not a criticism. That's how things evolve.
Right.
Yeah. So, it is what it is. And but thinking of Christmas as a purely Christian holiday, it absolutely isn't. And in fact, most of what we do around the Christmas holiday, those are still very much pagan traditions.
Yeah, the tree.
Yep, the tree. Very much so.
Yule log.
The Yule log. The hanging of greens anywhere.
Yeah, hanging of greens.
The hanging of mistletoe.
Yeah.
The giving of gifts.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all pagan in its origin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first holiday I have on my winter holidays around the world is Hanukkah.
Oh, of course.
Which is December 18th and ends on December 26th this year. The Festival of Lights. What do you know about Hanukkah? I don't know a lot about Hanukkah. I know they light the candles to commemorate the oil that should have only lasted for one night, lasting
7. Right.
I know it had something to do with the Maccabees. Most of what I know about Hanukkah, I solely learned from Ross Geller on Friends when he was dressed up as the
holiday
armadillo. I'm sorry to say, I even have Jewish friends, and I've never been. I even have Jewish people in my family. I have cousins that are Jewish.
Sure.
I've just never been immersed enough in their holiday. I know about the dreidel.
Yes.
And the lighting of the candles.
Of course.
And that's really as far as my knowledge of Hanukkah goes. Do you have any more? I mean, I can read you what I pulled off of Wiki and everything about Hanukkah, but what do you know of Hanukkah?
When I think of Hanukkah, obviously, of course, I think of the 8 days, and I think of the menorah and the lighting of the candles each night and the playing of dreidel. And I know that there are specific foods involved.
Latkes.
With this, latkes are a big one.
Some really good foods involved.
Oh,
in
yes,
Hanukkah.
absolutely. Yeah. And I believe that a lot of the food revolves around food that has oil in it. So, for example, fried foods like latkes, and also food that contains dairy.
Oh, really?
Yes, that dairy is a very prominent, or features very prominently in a lot of Hanukkah feasts. I do believe that Hanukkah commemorates, okay, I really hope I get this right, and I really apologize if I don't, the rededication of the Second Temple.
Yeah, I think you're correct. Yes, it's it commemorates the recovery of Jerusalem and the subsequent rededication of the Second Temple at the beginning of the Maccabean Revolt.
Got it.
Against the Seleucid Empire.
Right. 2nd century BCE.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. So that is really what I know about Hanukkah. I've been privileged to celebrate Hanukkah with friends a few times over the years. It's been a very long time since I've gotten to do that. But I've always thought it a really beautiful festival. And one thing that it does have in common with a lot of the other things that we're going to be talking about, including Christmas, is that most of these winter holidays are in some way, shape, or form celebrating a return of the light, where we're getting to the point where we have gotten past the shortest day of the year.
Right.
We've gotten past the solstice, the winter solstice.
Yeah.
And are moving again towards longer days. And so the return of the light, which I really love. I think that imagery is just glorious.
It is. It is. And a lot of the other holidays that we're going to touch on really are kind of focused on that return of the light and the solstice and all that.
Yeah.
The next thing I have, we already touched on the Yule.
Yeah.
Which is
my favorite.
Yule starts on the solstice, December 21st.
Yes.
And lasts through January 1st.
Right. Yeah. And
Yule
in
Tide.
some cultures, actually, the entire month of December can be considered Yule. But most commonly, it is focused on the winter solstice and moves into the end of December and into the new year.
Yeah, the celebration of Yule is one of the oldest winter celebrations in the world. An ancient people were hunters and spent most of their time outdoors. The seasons and weather played a very important part in their lives. Customs and traditions associated with Yule vary widely. Most commonly, the celebration consisted of a hearty feast and general revelry, which included wassailing, drinking, and dancing.
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of times the feast that was had at Christmastide was actually yet another way of celebrating the harvest.
Yeah.
Because the particularly in Celtic and other pagan cultures, the festival that had most recently passed would have been Samhain, what we now know as Halloween.
Yeah.
And so that being a harvest festival, celebrating the end of the harvest, the feast that comes at Christmas time is kind of like reaping the bounty of the harvest.
Right.
But also there's an interesting correlation between Samhain and Yule as well, because at both of those times, it's considered that the veil between worlds thins.
Right.
Both Samhain and Yule have this aura of the idea of communication with those who have passed on being far more possible.
Cool.
Yeah. And this is evidence. This is actually where Charles Dickens got the idea for his Christmas Carol.
Right.
And the idea of the three ghosts that visit Scrooge over the course of that novel.
Right.
Yeah.
Chirpy, no.
Chirpy, no.
Chirpy always has to make an appearance on the show.
Well, not always.
A lot. I mean, a lot of times it's edited out, and I might edit this out because he's totally interrupting us and being bad. Still trying out those new claws.
Yeah, he's been confused because he's lost his claws.
Yeah. So anyway, later when Christianity came to the British Isles, the Christians adopted aspects of the pagan festival into a celebration of the birth of Jesus Christ. As Christianity began to spread in the 4th century, the Christmas feast day was set on December 25th by Pope Julius I to align with the Roman pagan holiday, Dies Natalis Solis Invicti, the birthday of the invincible sun. And that's S-U-N.
I was just going to say that. Yes, that's not S-O-N. That's
right, the rest is history. Yeah, historians will tell you, I'm not reading this is what I know in my brain, that Jesus Christ was not born on December 25th.
That's correct.
That Pope Julius chose this day because the pagans, the 25th was an important day to the pagans.
Yes.
And so he wanted to usurp that day.
Yes.
As most of the popes did.
Right.
And so they said, we're just going to move Jesus' birthday.
Mm-hmm. So
that's what they did.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yes. It was the birthday of the invincible sun.
Yes. But S-U-N. And one of the reasons, the 25th is considered the birthday of the invincible sun, or why it is a important day in the pagan calendar is that it's the first day after the solstice. Okay, so after the winter solstice, there's a period where the sun's transit is actually stopped. Like there's actually a period of dormancy, and it's thought that the 25th is the first day of the sun's new cycle.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Through the sky. Yeah. I just learned that recently.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, it's very cool. So it's actually the idea of it's the first day that the sun takes new steps forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you don't like saying Merry Christmas to people, you could always say Happy
Blessed Yule.
Or you could say Happy Birthday of the Invincible Sun.
Yes, Happy Birthday of the Invincible Sun.
I kind of like that.
Yes.
It sounds like an Iron Maiden album, but
it kind of does. Yes. I personally am a fan of Blessed Yule.
Yeah, Blessed Yule.
I absolutely love.
Yeah, and continuing on the Yule theme,
we have the Yule log.
You can talk about burning the Yule log.
I sure can. And this is something that started well before medieval times, and it began as a part of winter solstice festivities. You have to imagine that the vast majority of winter holidays are stemming from that shortest day of the year, that winter solstice day. So the burning of the Yule log, was actually evolved to entice the return of the sun. Okay, so in the darkest days of the year, the lighting of the Yule log was actually meant to mimic the warmth and heat of the sun and to entice the sun to return. And this is still true. Okay, all of the lights that we put on our Christmas trees, the candles that we burn, the fires in our fireplaces,
right?
These are all evolutions of the Yule log, basically.
Yeah, it says so the candles and the lights associated with Christmas, meant to symbolize guiding beacons for the Christ child, evolved from the Yule log.
Yes, absolutely. And the Yule log originated in Scandinavia, if I am not mistaken.
Yes, comes from the Scandinavian word Jol, J-O-L. Mm-hmm. The Yule log was originally an entire tree. That would have been a fire.
Yeah.
Families would bring the trunk of the Yule tree inside and stick the big end of it into their fireplace. The Yule log would feed the fire through the 12 days of Christmas from Christmas Day through the evening of the 5th of January, known as 12th night.
Yep.
The ashes of the Yule log were said to be very good for plants. Wood ashes do indeed have beneficial uses in the garden.
Absolutely. And I just love that imagery. Yeah, that you are
dragging a tree into the house and putting it on the...
Well, but we do that now.
Yeah.
And it's just a little bit different. We just don't burn it anymore.
Well,
we put lights on it.
One time my dad, after Christmas, decided he was going to put the Christmas tree in the fireplace. Right. We all warned him not to do it.
He did it anyway.
Yeah, it was a terrible fire.
Needless to say, your mother was not pleased.
No. The family room ceiling was scorched.
Oh, my God.
There was much yelling.
Little did he know that he was taking part in an ancient Scandinavian tradition, right? He had no idea.
He did.
Absolutely no
Maybe
idea.
Maybe it was like ingrained in him somehow.
Yeah, but no, I love that imagery, the idea of, taking something from nature for our use, but then returning
the ash
to nature.
Back to the garden.
Yes.
To fertilize next year's crops.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah. Next winter holiday I have on our list is Three Kings Day, which is actually January 6th this year. Also known as the Epiphany or Theophany, Three Kings Day is a Christian feast day that celebrates the revelation of God in his Son as human in Jesus Christ. The observance had its origins in the Eastern Christian churches and was a general celebration of the manifestation of the incarnation of Jesus Christ. It included the commemoration of his birth, the visit of the Magi, all of Jesus' childhood events, his baptism in the Jordan by John the Baptist, and even the miracle at the wedding at Cana in Galilee. It seems fairly clear that the baptism was the primary event being commemorated. The earliest references to the Epiphany as a Christian feast was in AD 361 by Amanius Marcilianus. Saint Epiphanius, I'm probably mispronouncing a lot of this, says that the Epiphany, Three Kings Day, is Hemera Genephalian Tautestian Epiphanion. That was terrible. Which translates to Christ's birthday, that is, his Epiphany. He also asserts that the miracle of Cana occurred on the same calendar day in the sermon delivered on December 25th, 380 AD. That was a mouthful. Please, I apologize for all of that mispronunciation of all of those, I'm assuming, Latin words.
Yes.
I think Sam tuned out. She tuned out there.
I did, just a little bit, I have to admit.
Anyway, you want to know how to celebrate Three Kings Day, since I can't pronounce all the things you're supposed to do? To celebrate Three Kings Day, you want to tell us how to do it?
I would be happy to.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm losing it over here.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so for Three Kings Day, if you are looking to celebrate it, again, this is on January the 6th, all that we really have to do is prepare a large meal for our family and friends, invite them over, and enjoy the day that is, in fact, Three Kings Day. So this is something that, we can do just about at any time. Yeah, even though, of course, would not line up with Three Kings Day in a calendar kind of way. But just the idea that the point of the celebration is food and family. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, apparently they make this cake that's called Rosca de Reyes. Apparently there's recipes for it online. It's a cake with a sugary sauce, plenty of sweetness, and a good dose of cinnamon. This cake will have you going back for second helpings. And don't forget to follow the tradition of adding a baby Jesus doll to the cake.
There you go.
Well, that's kind of like what they do with the Mardi Gras cake. They put the baby, you know what I'm talking about?
I'm not familiar with the baby, but I am familiar with, putting trinkets into Christmas puddings.
King cake.
Or
have you heard of the king cake?
Well, that's what you're...
Is that what they're talking about?
Yes.
King cake? Oh, okay.
Yes, the Rosca de Reyes.
Oh,
yeah.
Because that's a Mardi Gras thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is intertwined.
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, without question.
Yeah.
Another thing that you might want to do if you're really interested in celebrating Three Kings Day is to go jump in some freezing cold water. Yes, this is how the event is celebrated in Prague every year.
Oh, really?
People take a traditional Three Kings swim in the Vltava River. I have seen the Vltava River with my own eyes, which I love Prague. Prague is one of my favorite cities, but not on Three Kings Day. So I have never had the pleasure of witnessing people jumping into the river
plunge.
Yes, the polar plunge. But it does sound pretty great. A lot of people will wear crowns while they jump in the water. And of course, afterwards, there are delicious warm Czech snacks and mulled wine waiting for the folks who come out of the water. So sounds pretty awesome.
I've never liked mulled wine.
Well, I'm not a wine person.
Yeah, I like the smell of mulling spices.
Oh, I do too.
But once you put it into the wine, it just kind of turns me off.
Yeah, I preferred mulled cider.
Yeah, that's better for sure.
Yeah, I like mulled cider. Mm-hmm.
On our list next is solstice, but we've already kind of touched on that. Winter solstice this year is, of course, December 21st.
Yes.
There are a couple of interesting notes in here about how solstice is celebrated in different countries, like in India.
The Indian version of the solstice celebration is Makara Sankranti, and it's a festival day in the Hindu calendar in reference to the deity Surya. Surya is the Sanskrit word for sun. It is observed each year in January and marks the first day of the sun's transit into Makara, which is the equivalent of the sun sign Capricorn, marking the end of the month with the winter solstice and the start of longer days. Customs attached to this holy Hindu day includes bathing in holy rivers, giving alms and donations, praying to deities, and doing other holy deeds. So again, another another holiday with a tradition of generosity and kindness.
Right.
Yeah.
In Iran, they celebrate the solstice. They call it Yalda night, which is known to be the longest and darkest night of the year. Yalda night celebration, or as some call it, Shabe Chela, the 40th night, is one of the oldest Iranian traditions that has been present in the Persian culture from ancient times. In this night, all families gather together, usually at the house of the oldest, and celebrate it by eating, drinking, and reciting poetry. Nuts, pomegranates, and watermelons are particularly served at this festival.
Sounds
Watermelons.
good to me. Well, you have to figure in Iran it is not super cold.
Yeah, so they probably get watermelons
And
all year
watermelons
round.
are yes, exactly. Watermelons are native fruit and probably easy to come by. Yeah. But I tell you, nuts, pomegranates, watermelons, I'm in. That sounds great.
Yeah.
I love it.
In East Asia, they call that celebration...
The winter solstice has been celebrated as one of the 24 solar terms called Dongzi in Chinese, in Japan. In order not to catch cold in the winter, there is a custom to soak oneself in a yuzu hot bath. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I've heard about those yuzu baths.
Of course you have.
Yeah.
Because of Animal Crossing.
Oh, right, Animal Crossing. You can put a yuzu bath in your house.
Yes, you certainly can.
That's funny. There are a ton of different observations of the solstice around the world. Are there any more that you want to hit on? Any that you find interesting?
Well, I mean, I think they're all interesting, but what I think is most interesting to me is that regardless of geography, that there are so many similarities in these traditions.
Right.
You know, the purpose behind them, the timing of them, you know, how they are celebrated, the iconography of them. It's really remarkable to me that, you know, in a time when humans had essentially just begun, like, spreading across the globe, you know, that traditions developed that were so specific to geography, yet at the same time, so universal.
We're all doing the same thing, people, all over the world, which is why it is so mind-blowing that so much war comes out of religion and what people believe and celebrate. Because when you boil it all down, it's the same thing. It's all the same thing.
There's a great deal of commonality. I won't say there's no difference. There are differences.
Well, sure, there's differences, but
I think the commonalities far outweigh the differences.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
December 13th is St. Lucia Day.
Yes.
And that's the one where the little girls all wear in Sweden.
Yeah,
it's the Festival of Lights celebrated in Sweden, Norway, and Swedish-speaking areas of Finland in honor of St. Lucia, or St. Lucy, one of the earliest Christian martyrs. St. Lucia was killed by the Romans in 304 CE.
Yes.
Because of her religious beliefs. Just what I was just talking about. Come on, people. Stop killing each other over religion. St. Lucia's Day. Is it Lucia? St. Lucia's Day is observed on Tuesday, December 13th. In Scandinavian countries, each town elects its own St. Lucia. The festival begins with the procession led by the St. Lucia designee, who is followed by young girls dressed in white wearing lighted wreaths on their heads and boys dressed in white pajama-like costumes singing traditional songs. The festival marks the beginning of the Christmas season in Scandinavia and is meant to bring hope and light during the darkest time of the year.
Yes.
Schools generally close around noon on that day, on the day of the festival, so that families can prepare for the holiday.
And families observe Santa Lucia Day in their own homes by having one of their daughters, usually the oldest, dress in white and serve coffee and baked goods such as saffron bread and ginger biscuits to other members of the family. These traditional foods are also given to any visitors that they may have during the day.
In earlier centuries, the Norse celebrated the winter solstice with large bonfires meant to scare off evil spirits and to alter the course of the sun. After converting to Christianity sometime around 1000, the Norse incorporated the legend of St. Lucia into their celebration. The modern Festival of Light combines elements of both pagan and Christian traditions, just like every other holiday around this time of year.
Yeah. Yeah. It really is quite amazing. Mm-hmm. It really, really is. Well, we've been talking a lot about holidays and traditions that have come largely out of Europe. So I would love it if we could switch over and talk about something that is a specific celebration of African American culture.
Okay.
This is Kwanza, of course, and runs from December 26th through January 1st. It culminates in a communal feast called Karamu, usually on the 6th day. It was created by activist Maulana Karenga based on an African harvest festival tradition from various parts of West and Southeast Africa. And Kwanzaa was first celebrated in 1966.
Yeah, during the aftermath of the Watts riots.
Yes. And it was the goal of the holiday was to give Blacks an alternative to the existing holiday of Christmas and to give Blacks an opportunity to celebrate themselves and their history rather than to simply imitate the practice of the dominant society. Gotta love that.
Yeah. For Karenga, a major figure in the Black Power movement of the 1960s and 70s, the creation of such a holiday also underscored the essential premise that you must have a cultural revolution before the violent revolution. The cultural revolution gives identity, purpose, and direction.
Yes, that is awesome. And according to Karenga, the name Kwanzaa derives from the Swahili phrase Matunda ya Kwanza, meaning first fruits. First fruits festivals exist in southern Africa, celebrated in December and January, with the southern solstice. And Karenga was partly inspired by an account he read of the Zulu festival Umkosi Wakwashwama. It was decided to spell the holiday's name with an additional A so that it would have a symbolic 7 letters.
During the early years of Kwanzaa, Karenga said it was meant to be an alternative to Christmas. He believed Jesus was psychotic. It does say that. And Christianity was a white religion that Black people should shun. As Kwanzaa gained mainstream adherents, Karenga altered his position so practicing Christians would not be alienated, stating in the 1997 book Kwanzaa, A Celebration of Family, Community, and Culture, that Kwanzaa was not created to give people an alternative to their own religion or religious holiday. Many African Americans who celebrate Kwanzaa do so in addition to observing Christmas.
Now, Kwanzaa was initially created in California and since then has spread not only outside of that state, but outside of the United States as well. It's so interesting, the idea of Christianity as a white religion. I mean, and this is something, oh my gosh, we could talk about this forever. Especially given the fact that, Jesus was Middle Eastern.
Right.
He was not a white man. He was a brown man.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see why somebody would say that. I mean, Christianity kind of has been taken over by the Europeans. And...
Oh, yes, no, absolutely. It's all been co-opted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so it gets forgotten, that these things that supposedly took place millennia ago
right.
were not taking place in Northern Europe.
Right.
They were taking place in the Middle East.
Right. It was all brown people.
All brown people.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's just some of the other holidays that are celebrated this time of year. I think it's just really too easy to get kind of wrapped up in our whole Christmas thing.
Sure.
And we forget what other people are doing around the world, know?
Yeah, but I think the one thing, regardless of how you are celebrating this season, the season of the longest night and then the return of the light, just remembering that no matter how you celebrate it, no matter what you call it, you are sharing that process in some way, shape, or form with the vast majority of the world.
Yeah.
It may not look the same, it may not sound the same, but the intent is the same. And that, to me, is the most beautiful thing about it.
It is.
Yeah.
That's the reason for the season.
Absolutely.
Right? Well, let's move on to housekeeping.
Okay. Keep the house.
Well, we still need your help for an upcoming episode we're going to do called Listener Holiday Favorites. So email or DM us your favorite holiday movies, songs, traditions, and foods. because we want this episode to be all about
you. And if you happen to catch us at the pop-up market at the Vegan Center in Tonawanda on Saturday, December 17th, we will actually have cards for you to fill out with this information. So if you don't feel like emailing, if you just want to come say hey at the Vegan Center, that'll do it. We'll grab your information there, and then you will be featured on the podcast.
Yeah. And I think, is that next week's episode? It might be. Oh, no.
No, it's going to be after the 17th.
It's after the 17th, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, get us.
Yeah, it would be the episode that we do on the 19th.
Yeah. Send us your favorites. Holiday movies, songs, traditions, and foods.
Yes.
What's next on the housekeeping?
Let's see. Next on the housekeeping, if you are so inclined, this is, of course, also a season of charitable giving. We are running a fundraiser for Food Not Bombs. That is the Buffalo chapter of Food Not Bombs at our Buy Me a Coffee site. And that is www.buymeacoffee.com/cucumbers. And any proceeds raised through that site will, of course, be sent directly to the Buffalo chapter of Food Not Bombs.
Yep. And we're matching those donations.
Yes,
too.
we are.
I wanted to mention local Buffalo folks, if you're looking to order breads or other baked goods from the Planty Baker, I wanted to kind of fill you in on their schedule so you can get your orders in soon. Order by December 17th and pick up on December 23rd from either Eat Your Feelings in West Seneca, the Vegan Grocery Store in North Tonawanda, and you can order through the plantybaker.square.site and select your appropriate location for pickup.
Ooh, are we going to be ordering some things from the Planty Baker?
Geez, I don't know.
I really think we should.
Yeah, they have, krushki, angel wings. They have a holiday box special with baklava, cafe mocha chip, orange cranberry, white chocolate candy cane, and I'm thinking these are all cookies. They have a gluten-free cookie box that you can get. And, of course, you can order all of their breads.
Yes.
Their sourdough breads. And now they have gluten-free sourdough breads for all of you gluten-freers out there.
We have not had their bread in a long time.
Yeah, it's been a while.
We're going to have to rectify that.
Yeah. So I just wanted to let you know about that.
Awesome. Other things to keep in mind, Hoodies for the Homeless is collecting gently used hoodies, sweatshirts, and warm clothing for people in need in the Buffalo area. Any items that you would like to donate can be dropped off at Wellness in the Village, which is located at 13219 Broadway in Alden, New York.
Yeah. Join our Patreon. If you want to become a patron, we have 3 different levels of support. And with those levels of support, there will be bonus episodes and merch. So if you would like some bonus content and some cool Compassion and Cucumbers merch, join our Patreon. And any money that we earn through our Patreon will be used to improve the show, make it better, so we can get more listeners like you.
Absolutely. As usual, Christine would love you to leave us a review on your podcast app if it allows. And if it does, please hit us with the 5 stars that Christine so dearly, dearly loves. That would be the best Christmas gift you could give her. Also, we'd love to encourage you to share the show with a friend or family member that you think would enjoy what we do.
Yeah, and share our social media posts, share and comment and like. It's the easiest way to support us and any creator, and it costs you absolutely nothing. So share anything that we share, and make sure you comment. I like to see your comments.
Comments are fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and get this week's cookbook. I'll have a link for it in the show notes.
And we'll also be linking to the AFA Vegan Voter Hub. If you haven't yet, please go to the Agriculture Fairness Alliance's website and join their Vegan Voter Hub so they can get a really great idea of how many proactive vegans are out there. So they have that information for their lobbying activities as we move into a new political season and approaching the new Farm Bill.
Yep. And like Sam said earlier, we will be at the Vegan Center Holiday Pop-Up Market on December 17th, and we'll have t-shirts and buttons and stickers and magnets and all of Sam's hand-knitted scarves, wraps, and cowls.
Oh my gosh, we are swimming in scarves, wraps, and cowls right now. So
We are.
you know.
We are. We'll also
grab one.
We'll also have plenty of free vegan information that you can take from the Vegan Outreach.
We sure will.
Yeah. And that wraps it up, I think.
I think it does.
That's it for episode 64 of the
Woohoo.
Compassion and Cucumbers podcast. Thank you for sticking around for these 45 odd minutes. And I hope everybody's gearing up for this holiday season. And I wish you all well in the next week.
Absolutely.
So we'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Have a great week, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Do you want to support the Compassion and Cucumbers podcast? Well, you can do that by joining our Patreon page. We have 3 different levels of support, and all 3 come with their own special bonuses. Hey, you can support the podcast and get yourself some really cool merch. All the links and deets are in the show notes. We'll catch you next week on the next episode of Compassion and Cucumbers.